I promise.
Yes.
That was cool.
Okay.
Just a quick scene.
And just triple checking, we're recording on Zoom. Yes. We are recording on OBS on our end. Yes. And you are as well, Amanda Gray?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, everybody get that. Somebody's got that chat icebreaker ready to go. It's 7 o'clock. Let's let them in. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome in. Glad you all are here. Feel free to find that chat here on Zoom. We've got a little chat icebreaker question for you to start off, and it's all about animatronics. So we're going to be talking all about animatronics tonight, and as our icebreaker, we want to know, what are some examples of animatronics that you know? What's your favorite animatronics character? Where have you seen them before? Feel free to check in the chat, and we're really excited for all of you to be here tonight. How are you doing tonight, Amanda Gray?
Doing great. So excited to be here.
We are really excited for you to be here too. We've been collaborating for a little while on this particular adventure, but we've been working together now for a few years. It's been great to get to know you and all your bow ties.
Thank you. Thank you. This is our BirdBrain bow tie for today. Felt
very nice.
very on brand.
Yes.
With our little logo for Bow Tie Tuesday. Fun fact about me, I wear bow ties on Tuesday. So
Bow Tie Tuesday. We love it.
That's right.
That's great. Okay, some folks are checking in the chat about their animatronics experiences. One person really loves Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Dawn has been to Disney World a couple times and Disneyland. Nice. I always get them confused. And then Matt told me that Disneyland starts with LA and Disneyland is in California.
Yeah.
So that's how I remember it now.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now I know. I also get them confused.
Right, I'm from
I just
Iowa.
say the Florida one, or
right. I just remember Land, LA, California. See, I'm from Iowa. We were equidistant from either. It was a long plane ride for a small child, either direction.
Goodness.
Oh, the parrots in the tiki room are really great, says Don. Nice.
Yeah. Have you been into the enchanted tiki room in Disneyland or Disney World?
I don't think so.
It's amazing. It's enchanted.
Is it enchanted?
Oh.
Nadia says the Jurassic Park dinosaurs. Heck yeah, they count. I think a lot of people's first animatronics was with those Jurassic Park dinosaurs. Those, again, those are some amazing animatronics.
Yeah, I'm a big Jurassic Park fan.
We were watching some of the behind the scenes in preparation for this of behind the scenes of Jurassic Park. Yeah. I was surprised to learn how much of that movie was actually animatronics and puppetry.
Yeah.
Much of it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, welcome in, everybody. I think we're going to have a pretty full house tonight. I'm so glad that you all are here. Welcome to our animatronics webinar this evening. We're going to be talking about beginner animatronics projects up through some more advanced things and really talking about classroom connections with animatronics. So as we go throughout the evening, we'll ask you to keep yourself muted, and you can choose whether or not you have your video on or off. You can always rename yourself here. So if you want to be identified as Mr. or Miss, if you want to put your pronouns in there, if you have an honorific like Dr. so-and-so, whatever you'd like to be called, we'll call you that as well tonight. Yeah, video on or off, just keep yourself muted and feel free to use that chat tonight. We like to host very participatory webinars and bring in your questions and comments. And you'll never be interrupting me or Amanda Gray, by the way. We've got a whole team watching the chat. So chat away, and our teammates will let us know when there's something that we should address in the chat. Excellent. All right. So let's start off with a couple of introductions tonight. So I'll begin. Hi, everybody. My name's Kelsey Derringer. I'm one of the co-founders here at CodeJoy. And when it comes to animatronics, one of the first experiences I remember is this really silly TV show called Dinosaurs from the early 90s. Does anybody remember this TV show? The animatronics were phenomenal. Plus, they were all these like wearable costumes. So in this clip, you can actually see underneath the like dinosaur skin. But then in just a moment, you'll see some clips from the show. Aren't those fantastic? So cool. So that's one of the first animatronics that I remember. I remember saying, "I'm the baby, gotta love me." I was very annoying as a child. But Amanda Gray was a delight as a child. Amanda, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what some of your first animatronics memories are?
Sure. So I'm Amanda Gray. I am the Educator Success Specialist at BirdBrain Technologies, and some people in the chat are right there with me with our first experience or most memorable experience maybe being Chuck E. Cheese. So seeing all of these characters playing songs while you were eating pizza and waiting to play the next game, that is probably one of my most memorable. So I see I'm not alone.
Fantastic. Yeah, I have some strong memories of that too. We had some archival old school footage from like old 70s Chuck E. Cheese and then some 90s Chuck E. Cheese in there. So whatever age you are, maybe you saw yourself in that clip a little bit. But we've got a couple of other CodeJoy team members here tonight as well. We've got Mr. Matt Chilbert. Hey, Matt, how's it going?
It's going well. Hi, everyone. How's it going? I'm going to spend most of the time off screen, but it's good to be here. My name's Matt. I'm the co-founder of CodeJoy, and one of my earliest memories with animatronics was the movie Little Shop of Horrors, which I think is still one of the most amazing examples of animatronics I've seen. It's amazing to think that this was 1986. I have no idea how this was achieved. I feel like animatronics, this is a bold statement, but I think it peaked in 1986. And yeah, love this movie. Even without the animatronics, that is just an amazing bonus. Thanks, everyone.
I love it. Well, Matt will be here off screen as well, and we'll probably hear from him a little bit later. So joined by our Director of Learning, Amanda Jean Strode. Amanda Jean, you want to introduce yourself and tell us about your first animatronics you remember?
I sure do. Hi, everyone. My name is Amanda Jean. I'm the Director of Learning here at CodeJoy, and my early memories of animatronics are these sort of games that you'd play at like an amusement park, or I think Coney Island is like famous for having some of these. I think Zoltar was the name of one of them that was super famous, but this one is cool. It's a fortune teller lady, and she looks like she's writing. And then what you get out of the machine is like a handwritten letter that looks like it's the fortune that she wrote for you. So pretty cool old animatronics that, you know, I remembered when we were chatting up earlier. And then we deep dove into the YouTube to find all of the things to distract us from our work today. It was really an afternoon.
It was a good day. It was a good time. Awesome.
Great.
You'll see Amanda Jean off screen and in the chat as well as we go this evening. So with that, we're going to start by just talking a little bit about who's here. So you know who's here on our end. Now we want to know who's here on your end. So we're going to share a link with you in the chat to something called Mentimeter. And I'd love for everybody who's present tonight to participate in this Mentimeter. Let us know a little bit about who you are and what some of your experiences are. So you can either grab this QR code off the screen if you want to use your phone, or you can click on that link from the chat. But I'm going to go to our next slide here. I'd love to know, where do you teach? I know most of the people who are joining this webinar are probably in the US, but we do have some folks who join us internationally. So feel free to click on the map wherever it is you teach. I love how big these dots are compared to the map, by the way, because we have people who teach in the entirety of Southern California, and I love that. Excellent. All right. We've got a few different time zones represented here tonight. Hey, Amanda Gray, where are you this evening? We're in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Where are you at?
I am in Clarksville, Tennessee, close to Nashville.
Excellent. All right. So you're Central Time Zone, yeah?
Right, represent.
Central Time Zone. What?
Woo-woo!
All right. Excellent. Okay. Couple more questions for the folks here, because I'd love to know, what grades do you teach? You can select all that apply. Do you teach pre-K through second grade, third through fifth, sixth through eighth, ninth through 12th? Maybe you are a college professor, or maybe you mostly teach other teachers. It would be great to know who we've got here tonight. Plus, this is a time for us to, since we're realizing, you know, who else is here, we can also kind of gauge our questions tonight, because man, it looks like a lot of folks would be interested in curriculum connections with 6th through 8th grade, because we have quite a few folks from 6th through 8th grade here tonight. Excellent. Great. All right. I always love teaching pre-K through second grade teachers, but I will say animatronics, as you can tell with some of those early inspirations, when you try to make things really lifelike, it can get pretty complex pretty quickly. So animatronics as a concept, I would say is definitely appropriate for third grade and up. Excellent. Okay. How about what subjects do you teach? I'm always curious about this one because we have so many different subjects that we intersect with. And truly, I believe, and I think everybody here on the team believes, and at BirdBrain believes, that robotics is a cross-curricular concept. Like you can incorporate robotics into whatever subject you teach, whether it's English or phys ed or music or computer science, gifted and talented, special education. World languages, we had a teacher who we've worked with in the past, Dr. Rochelle Dene Poth. She teaches French and Spanish, and she does a lot of coding to build fluency in the target language. Excellent. I'm glad to see all the different disciplines that we have represented here tonight. That's great. So if you have questions that might be pertinent to social studies, you know that somebody else here would benefit from that as well. So if you have questions or integration ideas that would fit into library or math or English, know that there's somebody else here who would like for you to ask that question or share that idea. Okay. Have you done animatronics before? The options here are, what's animatronics? Or I know what it is and I definitely haven't done it. Nope. Maybe you've tried it yourself. Maybe you've done it with your students a little bit. Maybe your students have done it a lot in your classroom. I'm very curious to know what the experience level is here in the room, because I have a feeling that we've got some folks with experiences, with ideas, with things that you've tried that no one else should try, and you can let us know that, or things that you've tried that everyone should try, and you can let us know that too. Excellent. Okay, looks like quite a few folks have some experience doing animatronics with students. Excellent. And a lot of folks are brand new to it. Well, welcome. We're going to kind of start at that beginning level and then work our way up as we go so that you can see the progression of what this might look like in a classroom. Okay, last question for you. This one's very open-ended. Feel free to just write like sentence fragments if you want. But what are you hoping to get out of the session tonight? A couple examples. I am personally always looking to see what is being offered that can engage girls. That's sort of my passion project as a group to serve. How can we engage girls with this project? I think animatronics is actually a great starting point for that. But what's something that you're always listening for when you are learning from others? You want to be inspired by something new. I love that. Looking for some classroom integration ideas. Fantastic. Also, this person is just looking for how all this works in the classroom. Yeah, animatronics is not like a core subject area. It is not on your standardized test. So how would this fit into a classroom? I'm so glad you brought that up because we're going to be talking about a lot of classroom integration ideas. Ideas for next year, integrating something from Mission to Mars, maybe. Learning something new, seeing if there's something that we can start using in our company. Very cool. I'm looking forward to taking my middle school students to the next level with Hummingbird kits. We do the tutorials and then they create on their own. I think this is going to give you some great ideas. Plus, we're going to link a lot of stuff from the BirdBrain website. So I think you're going to see how to string some of those concepts together really nicely. I'm hoping to learn how to use BirdBrain technology with small groups. I don't know much about the Hummingbird technology. It's a little intimidating. I feel you when you first open that thing up, you're like, oh gosh, that's a lot of wires. Am I going to get electrocuted? No, you're not. That was my first worry with kids. And I think not only are we going to allay some of your fears, but show you some cool stuff to do too. Learn new ways to engage teachers, different ways to think about incorporating animatronics, new ideas. Always looking for fun projects, some basics and an on-ramp to animatronics. I think we've got that for you. Absolutely. Ways to let students express their own voices. I love that one. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, I think you're going to see some ways that students could do like very personalized projects for sure. Excellent. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing what you're looking for from tonight. I think we're going to be able to provide those things. All right. So perhaps let's just start with kind of, we should share our learning document in the chat. Pardon me. We'll share that with you right now. And as you get this learning document here, this is what it looks like. everything that we share tonight is going to be included in this learning document. So you can see our agenda here. We're also recording this webinar and we're going to edit it together so that it's really pretty and everyone sounds smart. And we're going to link that here on the document. Plus everything that we covered tonight, you can check out here. So if you liked some of those inspiration videos, we linked some of those down here for you. But we are going to go right into the bottom of page 2. What is animatronics? So my question for you, Amanda, is maybe what is animatronics and when does a robot turn into an animatronics project? What do you think?
Yeah, that's great. So, like a lot of the things that we've been talking about, just kind of tying that in, animatronics is going to be a technique where you're making and operating some kind of lifelike robot. We've actually seen that word in the chat already, lifelike. And as we can tell, we see that a lot in the entertainment industry. And so talking about when a robot kind of transforms into an animatronic, I really think that is when it starts to take on like a personality and have expression. So this robot that becomes a character that can tell a story or like make an emotional connection with an audience, that's when it really goes to the next level.
Yeah, I love that idea of storytelling. That's so central to what we do here at CodeJoy. And when you have a story behind something, suddenly there's feelings involved and there's desires and needs. What does this character need? Well, what is their, sometimes what is included in that animatronics project is dictated by like what needs to happen next, right? Yeah,
Right.
I love the emphasis on storytelling and character there.
Well,
So we've talked about your like first exposure to animatronics, but what's one of your like favorite examples of animatronics?
I really like the ones that you'll find at the theme parks. So I also saw somebody had mentioned Jurassic Park, and there I'm thinking like the Universal Studios rides where you have the animatronics that are in there. Jurassic Park in particular, I'm a big fan.
Yeah, me too. As we were talking about, we took a deep dive on some of our favorite projects. So we were watching some behind the scenes stuff for that original Jurassic Park. That was a 12,000-pound T-Rex when it was dry. And then
Wow,
it got wet and it freaked out. And just learn more about Jurassic Park, everybody. You'll have a good time.
that's amazing.
Yeah, and animatronics and water generally don't mix so well, and definitely not when it's 12,000 pounds and has teeth this big. So, but one of the big questions that teachers have, and what we're going to spend the majority of our time talking about this evening, is some example projects where folks can start. So we've got 2 different example projects that we're going to share, and then you've got one as well there. So
Yes.
let's go ahead and spotlight me again here. I'm going to talk you through 2 different example projects that appear here on your learning document. So if we scroll down to page 3, we've got a little bot and a tiny bot. And I know you English majors out there, you're like, little and tiny, aren't those synonyms? Yeah, but they're different words, and I'll show you why. So if you've ever been to any of our shows before, you've probably met Elby. And I'll bring Elby on screen here. There's Elby. Hey, buddy. There we go. Okay, so this is Elby. It stands for Little Bot. And we'll put the example project from the BirdBrain website in the chat for you. There's some step-by-step tutorials about how to make an Elby. But as you can probably tell, there's kind of 2 axes of movement on this robot. It goes up and down. It goes back and forth. So he can basically say yes and no, and anything else you can do with 2 axes of movement. So just for example, I am going to show you how I have programmed this on my iPad here. I want to show you the example program and how I begin by programming an LB. So I'm going to go to my top-down camera here so we can see my program. There we are. So I'm using a program called BirdBlocks here. And whenever I go to program a little bot, I begin by figuring out what's straight on, what's up, what's down, what's right, and what's left. That is really helpful. So when I set LB where I wanted him to be, and let's see, I think it's 8. Nope, my bad. I'll stay here. When I I guessed on a cue, I was wrong. When I programmed LB where I wanted him to be, to look straight at the camera, like this, his angles that I needed him to be at was that position servo 3, that's the up and down position servo, needed to be at 90 degrees, and position servo 4, that's the left and right servo, needed to be at 75 degrees. When I wanted him to look right, which is over here, that was slightly different angles. And when I wanted him to look left, which was over here, that was slightly different angles, especially when you're working with a little bot design like LB. It's really important to find your up and your down because they have a fairly limited range of motion. So if right now the up angle for him, this is 75 degrees is up. He could maybe go to 65 degrees. Oh, wrong way. Sorry, 95 degrees is up. He could maybe go to 105. Like that. That's about as high as he can go. If I move him past 105 degrees, guess what happens? The head pops off. Which, in the grand scheme of things, when you're working with a cardboard box, is fixable. But when you have a limited amount of class time and your kids get easily frustrated, that can be a fun moment to learn about angles, right? But so for this guy, 105 degrees is about as high as it can go. And that's him looking all the way up. And in fact, if I went any higher than that, I might actually be straining the motor. And like, this is the real deal LB. So like, I don't want to stress him out. So I don't want him to go any higher than 95 degrees, right? Because I don't want to stress out that motor and accidentally pop his head off. So I definitely want to find the upper range. And I also want to find that lower range. How far down can he look? Well, currently I have it set to 85 degrees. Maybe I could go to 80 degrees. That's about as low as I want to go. It's making contact with the bottom there. So I'm going to set it back to 85. But one of the cool things about this particular design for a robot is it's really customizable because it truly is just two cardboard boxes, right? One stacked on top of the other. The way this is built, and I'll just kind of pause in there for a second so we can look inside. One motor is sunk down in the body. That's the back and forth. And then on the inside, one of the motors is actually mounted on the inside of the head here. That's the one that helps him go up and down. Does BirdBlox still work with the older Hummingbirds? Yes, that's a great question, Charlotte. BirdBlox works with the older Hummingbirds if you have the Bluetooth dongle. So there's a little extra piece that you can buy that will make it Bluetooth compatible. Ooh, do we have a pop-off head, LB? Great. So just so we can see how this LB is built, I have another LB here. Don't worry, I'm going to pop his head off, but this is what he's built for. There we go. Okay. So if we look inside the head here, you can see this motor is the one that goes back and forth. This motor is glued directly to this top motor. The top motor is connected to the inside of the head right there, those cardboard spacers. And that motor is the one that, there we go. That motor is the one that makes his head go up and down. So a lot of people, one of the things they tend to screw up with this design is they'll attach the up and down motor to the back of the face. And if you attach the motor to the back of the face, his head doesn't go up and down. It goes back and forth, which is very cute, but often not what people are trying to do. So this little bot here is an awesome design, but one of the limitations of it is that it only probably has about 20 degrees of motion. You could mount the head up higher and get a little bit more, but then you get that exposed neck and just suddenly it looks a lot less lifelike, right? So it's a really flexible design. We see a lot of folks turn these into like self-portraits or Abraham Lincoln or a character from a book, like with just some eyebrows or a mustache or a hat or a shirt or something. This could turn into all kinds of different characters, right? You could give it a mouth and a nose. We just don't give our characters mouths because lip sync is really hard and we just avoid it by not giving any of our characters mouths. But there's another design called the Tiny Bot design that actually solves some of those problems. Let me show you what I mean. This is our Tiny Bot. As you can see, it's a little smaller. Super cute. So this Tiny Bot here, it can do all the same stuff that LB can do with one added bonus. It can say yes. and I can say no, like so. There we go. But I can also turn the head all the way upside down. I can go all the way up there and the head won't pop off because we don't have a back on that head. So the way this head is built is it's basically just one flat piece of cardboard that the motor is attached onto, bent into a face, and then we just use a little bracket style clip on here. We call that the crown, just because, I don't know, that's what it looks like. And that makes it so that you've got a robot that doesn't, the head won't pop off because it's got that open back to it. You're going to see that in a design that Amanda's going to show you in just a little bit here. So with these two designs, they're very, very similar. They're both really customizable. You can kind of make them look like whatever you want it to look like. You can make them do all kinds of things. You can really characterize that in a bunch of different ways. This one's sort of the OG. We also cut a little oven door in the front so that we can use the LED array on a microbit to give Elby a little heartbeat. Both of these super customizable. This one has the drawback of having a very limited range of motion, but it's so easy to understand what that is. It's clearly two cardboard boxes. This one solves the problem of the head popping off, but I don't know, don't tell it, I'll cover its ears. It's just not quite as cute. It's fine. It's fine. But we think that's an important factor, right? When you're trying to appeal to all sorts of different kids. But on your learning document, we've got project instructions for each of these. On the BirdBrain site is where you'll find the LittleBot video-based instructions here, step-by-step instructions. And then this TinyBot instruction, this will actually take you to our show page for robot relaxation, where there's a step-by-step lesson plan with build instructions, pictures and things. So you can take your students through that as well. So there you go. So those are two really great examples of places you might start with animatronics, just an X and a Y axis of movement, and then a little bit of coding. But Amanda Gray is going to share with you something brand new from BirdBrain. You guys are going to be some of the first people to hear about this brand new project pack. So Amanda Gray, will you tell us about the Animatronics project pack?
That's right. Debuting for the first time is our project pack set, and the one we're actually focusing on in particular is the animatronics. So what you see here, I'm gonna move the camera up just a tiny bit, is the animatronics project pack that is working with our Hummingbird kit. So we've got some servos going, we've got some LEDs you can see in the eyes. And it is programmed just like Elby to look around on the axis and is randomly turning its head. This is what we take to conferences. But then we also have a distance sensor that if you get too close to it, it gets angry and shakes his head. And we like to describe this animatronics as they don't really like to be bothered and they like their personal space. So this is an example of one of our new project packs. And it's really exciting because we are offering step-by-step instructions on how to create this, step-by-step instructions on how to actually program it so it's going to do what you ask it to do, and just different tasks and extensions that you can use with it. So all of that is going to come with the materials for this, and it's definitely going to be a little bit more sturdy than the cardboard. We're hoping that students can use this over and over again. It's reusable, so all of the pieces can be taken apart and put back together by other students. And the limitation that comes with this one is you are locked into a little bit more of a strict design. You are using this as the body, but then you can do whatever you want with it on top of that body.
That's one of the things that I really love about this particular project is it gives you a structure, or the project pack, I should say, it gives you a structure for that XY axis. And then, you know, hey, here's a way to add LEDs to it. Here's a way to add a sensor to it. And once students have kind of gone through that with a lot of support the first time, I bet they're going to have ideas, like Dawn was saying in the chat, to turn it into a puppy or a giraffe or a turtle or a 12,000-pound T-Rex, you know, whatever they can imagine and have the materials for, right?
And that's truly the goal of these project packs. So this is one of them, the animatronics. We also have a catapult and a rover, and really they are meant to be starter projects to get you learning about the hummingbird, learning about building, and then you will be ready to go off on your own and make whatever you want.
Yeah, those project packs, they come in this nice BirdBrain purple box. It matches your shirt today. Lovely.
Yeah.
So this nice purple box. So then you kind of get everything you want. You might need to make that project all together. So I think that's such an exciting development to support people to try new things. If you've never made a mechanism before, try the catapult one. You know, if you've never made animatronics before, that project pack might be a good place to start. Plus, I love that you pointed out that it's reusable too. When you build a little bot and you take the little bot apart, it's not really reusable. The cardboard like kind of tears and comes apart, and you know it's very sad when you have to take your hummingbird projects apart. I'm sure many teachers.
It is. We hope these can be used over and over. That was what they were built for.
Yeah, that is a cool feature of these. So okay, I've got a question for you guys in the chat now. Which classroom integrations, what kinds of classroom integrations can you imagine with designs like these? This XY axis of movement. What other projects can you imagine? Classroom integrations. So can you imagine a unit that you already do that might benefit from a character being in it? Yeah, what are the classroom integrations that you can imagine with this sort of XY axis? And while you guys are typing up some responses to that, I wanted to answer a couple questions that came in, or ask a couple. Regina was wondering, does the project pack include everything you just named, the animatronics, the catapult, and the rover? And while you're explaining that, I've got something I can show. So do you want to talk through that?
Perfect. Yeah, that's a great question. So the project packs are going to be an extension of the Hummingbird kit. So you've got to have your Hummingbird kits ready to go. And then you can buy them in the set of 3. So it's going to come with the animatronics, the catapult, and the rover. And then we also have full classroom solutions, which would come with like 10 Hummingbird kits, 10 of each of these, as well as storage for that. So there are a couple of options depending on what you're looking for.
Yep. So each one, so let's see, we've got the animatronics one, the catapult one, and the rover one. They don't come with the hummingbird part, so you got to get that separate. But once you have your hummingbird, these are kind of like add-ons for each of these. So someone said, Kimberly said that they were thinking of doing a parade float. This rover one could get you well on your way to having a successful parade float. Hey, you can make it out of a cereal box. That's how Matt and I used to do it. But if you don't have enough cereal boxes, or if you're looking for something a little more reusable, if you're looking for a little more structure to that project, here's a project pack.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And you can see that there's a QR code and a link on all of the boxes, and that's going to take you to the instructions. So we're going to have student-facing instructions, which are how do you build this? How do you code it? What can I do with it? And then we're also going to have teacher curriculum with it as well. So a set of slides for you to use so you can teach them how to do this. We're going to have resources for the teachers and everything. So it's truly meant to set teachers up for success with the Hummingbird.
Yeah, I love that. And we've got some ideas coming in the chat now. Gerald says, I can see students creating animatronic stories programmed to go along with either live or recorded scripts. In fact, we helped a school out in Hawaii do that. Judy Tatayama and Alyssa. Oh, we're going to think of it. Anyway, Alyssa, shout out to you, whose last name I can't remember. But these 2 fantastic teachers out in Hawaii, they did a public service announcement project with their students. And rather than having the kids on camera, they had them each create an LB character. And LB was the one that they were filming doing the PSA. So they wrote a script and then they had to program LB to do whatever. So they had PSAs about buckling your seatbelt and recycling and all kinds of things like that. And LB was their versions of LB, which had ponytails and mouths and crazy things like that.
Amazing though.
PSAs.
I love it.
And then Dawn was saying, I can see a series of 6 projects in my computer science class that build on one another, with the last project being a full animatronic character. I think that's awesome.
Very cool.
Ooh, and Gerald also says, oh, what about an animatronic version of your school mascot that could make appearances at school events? Yes.
How fun.
Amanda, what was your high school mascot?
We were the Elks with an S.
Sure. with honestly, I think the call of an elk is absolutely terrifying.
I'm pretty sure our high school building was actually built like kind of in the shape of an elk too, like with wings for like that it looked like antlers. It's very strange. We embodied that.
Just the tigers. We were pretty chill. I mean, ferocious, but pretty chill. Yeah. Cool. Okay, great.
I love it.
So what we just showed, these were all sort of the similar versions of this XY axis. So let's go ahead and bring me back full screen here, because now we want to talk a little bit more deeply about classroom integration, because hey, maybe making a character that can nod and say yes and no is perfect for what you want to do, but animatronics is broader than just yes and no characters. You could take this a bunch of different directions. So we're going to put another question in the chat that we want you to think about throughout this whole next segment. So feel free to answer this kind of on your own time in the chat here. But what animatronics projects have you actually done? Or what projects do you currently do that you think could become an animatronics project? I'm thinking of those social studies integrations, those math integrations, those ELA and physical education or projects that you do in your gifted programs. So what animatronics have you already done, or what projects do you currently do that you could envision becoming an animatronics project? And we're going to talk through a couple other classroom connection examples. So here on your learning document at the bottom of page 3, we're going to talk a little bit about the robot petting zoo, which was honestly my first introduction to the Hummingbird Kit, and I would say my first successful robotics project with students was the robot petting zoo. It was not my first attempt. It was my first successful attempt. So as an overview, this project is that you use the Hummingbird Robotics Kit to make an animal that responds when you feed it or when you pet it. So a feedable robot might have like a light sensor and an LED pointed at each other, and then when you interrupt that with a piece of paper or like robot food, then it responds somehow. Or perhaps you have a light sensor on the top of its head, and when you pet it, like when you block that light sensor, it responds somehow. Or maybe you have a distance sensor on the front of it, like the one that Amanda just showed. And when you get close to it, it does something, right? There's so many different directions you could take that. But one of the big takeaways, one of the reasons that I fell in love with this project is that it's not a competition. Lots of robot competitions exist, and it's a great way to engage some kids. But there's great research out there that says that not all kids respond well to competitive events, especially when it's their introduction to something new. If they're already engaged in it, then doing a competition, yeah, totally, they're already into it. But if they're not engaged in it yet, let's say you're, I don't know, a girl, and you walk into a robot competition and you're the only girl there, it's not a super friendly way to start something, right? But so this is much more sort of creative and open-ended. And when we describe creative and open-ended projects, we like to describe those through the lens of criteria and constraints. So here's how we usually talk about the robot petting zoo. The criteria, the things that the project must have or do, it's got to have a light, a motor, and a sensor. And it's got to make you laugh. And it's got to be an animal. Oftentimes we'll say like real, imaginary, extinct, whatever. So the first year I did this, I had one group make their friend's pet bunny, another group make a dancing gorilla. Actually, it was a twerking gorilla. We didn't tell the principal that, but that's what they said it was, and it did. It was pretty good. And then they also made a unicorn. So all of those, that's great. But this is also a great place to kind of put your curriculum or your content connections on top of it. And Amanda Jean's going to tell us about an example that she taught in the past. Your constraints are your time. How much time do you have? Do you have one class period? This might be more than a one class period thing. Do you have a week? Great. Do you have 2 weeks? Great. The materials that you give your students, that's absolutely a constraint. One thing we always suggest is sending a note home and having the kids bring in their recycled materials, gives them real ownership over the project and gives you cool stuff that you couldn't have come up with on your own. And we often recommend that you have them limit the size of their project because, you know, the motors are only this big. So while I've had people make robots in workshops with me that are as big as I am, it's a tiny little motor, so it's not great at moving huge things. So we often recommend that you limit it to about the size of a shoebox. Now you can also go for like stretch goals with this too, right? Like add more LEDs, add more motors. Maybe you want to include some kind of a mechanism in it or something like that. Absolutely, those are great add-ons, but kind of the basic project, one light, one motor, one sensor, make yourself laugh, make an animal that responds to being fed or petted. So to give us a little bit more context on what that was like in the classroom, I want to invite Amanda Jean back up. Now you did a robot petting zoo project. Here you go.
Thank you. I was looking for that.
Now you did a robot petting zoo project pretty much every year you taught in the classroom, right?
Oh yeah, every single year. And I've done it in the classroom, in a, regular classroom setting, in core subjects, after school, summer camps, you name it. I've done robot petting zoo and all of the things.
So one that I really love was that in science you used to have it as part of an animal adaptations unit. Can you talk
Yeah.
through that a little bit?
Yeah, I've done that in a lot of different ways with writing and library, both of those, content and standards. I've also done it with science standards. But what I had the kids do was they built their robot, and the robotic components were used to give the robot a new adaptation that would help it survive more successfully in the wild. So they had
Nice.
to really be clever about how they were using the robots and the robotic components to make it do something really interesting and new. Yeah.
When I did that one in a workshop, one of the adaptations that they did was a giraffe, and they used a cable mechanism like that. And they made the neck of the giraffe do this with this cool cable mechanism because that was its adaptation, was that so the motor was showcasing this adaptation. Another group made a turtle whose head could go in, again, using a mechanism. In that one, it was mechanism focused.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that animal adaptation kind of bit on top of it. You said you used it in a writing class as well. How was it incorporated into writing?
Yeah, so I taught ELA my first year of 4th grade, and I was a tested subject, and I did not teach computer science, and I did not teach STEM or any of those things.
Right.
I had to teach writing in ELA, so my students had to do an informational writing, expository writing, lesson, an essay, and they also had to do research in library. So we did their research on animals, and they had to write about their animal, and then they got to create and bring their animal to life with a group, which really enhanced the project quite a bit. There is no kid I've ever met that doesn't enjoy making cardboard into animals. It's just a universal loved project.
I absolutely corroborate that for sure.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Awesome.
you. All right, I'll see you in the chat.
So next I want to invite up Matt because he actually created the very first robot petting zoo when he worked at the Tech Hive, which was a maker space out at UC Berkeley out in California. So Matt, when did you first create the robot petting zoo? What year was that?
Well, I did it with a team. There's a team of educators and about 5 of us. And it was in 2013, I think 2014 maybe was the first one. We have some video from the 2015 one, but I think 2014 was when we actually kind of came up with the idea. And animatronics was never really the goal, right? It was a byproduct, but what we were really trying to do is create a non-competitive robotics activity.
Yeah. And one of the things I love about that original project was it was very community engagement focused.
Yeah.
So there was a staff of like 5 people, and then you guys had your Tech Hive, what were they called?
The Tech Hive teen interns. So
teen interns.
Yeah, between 7th and 12th grade.
And there were like a dozen of those kids or so.
Yeah.
So they worked the whole year to prepare for a makeathon, which was a weekend-long event.
Yes.
So what was that makeathon like, and how were the kids involved?
Yeah. So this was an after school, or actually it was a weekend internship that the kids would do for a makerspace called the Tech Hive, UC Berkeley. And so they would come every weekend. But for 2 weekends that year, we actually brought in a group of 15 more teens. And during that time, our Tech Hive teens trained those other teens how to use the Hummingbird Robot Kit. And those teens then designed a robot. And the design prompt was really simple. It was design a robot that would engage a 7-year-old. And that was it. because the intent was at the end that we would we would display all of these on a museum floor, a local museum called the Children's Creativity Museum in San Francisco. We would set them up so they looked like they were in little pens, and then kids that were visiting that museum, they were usually around 7 years old, they could come around and interact with these different robots. So we had an authentic audience to design for, and I think that was kind of critical.
I love that the authentic audience wasn't a bunch of grown-ups. The authentic audience was a bunch of kids who are going to give you their honest feedback. Oh, yeah. And their honest feedback might be like, nah, this is boring, and go on to the next one.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's great.
So then, they got to vote on which was like the friendliest and which was the most colorful and which was the biggest, you know what I mean? So that we had these like wild categories, so that really everyone got an award, more or less in the end. But the real reward was just kind of interacting with the kids and answering their questions.
Yeah. And actually we have a video of that as well. So it's a little 60-second clip.
Yeah, it's like sort of a little supercut of some of the project that these kids made.
So here, let me show you what Robot Petting Zoo looked like in action in 60 seconds or less.
This is a robot petting zoo. The robots were made by high school participants. Most of these participants never built with cardboard, engineered a mechanism, or programmed before.
Robotics makes a great pathway for STEM learning and engaging participants around a collaborative design challenge. But unfortunately, the current state of robotics education is largely built around competitions that focus on making robots to perform a specific set of tasks.
With the Robot Petting Zoo, we're transforming robotics education by engaging the disengaged and breaking stereotypes about who can be scientists, engineers, and technology innovators. We're attracting more students to learn creative and technical skills in an accessible, friendly, and non-competitive way.
So you can really hear in that description, it's really meant to be the opposite of a competition, right? So you saw a bunch of different ones. That red dinosaur, didn't Tom used to have the head of the red triceratops on the wall? It was like mounted on the wall.
Yeah.
Anyway, what was your favorite robot?
I like the whale with the little spouty thing, and I remember the team that made that. That's not what they wanted it to do. They thought it was going to kind of like shoot straight up, but they couldn't get the mechanism working the way they thought. But yeah, it was a delightful surprise that it moved that way. Yeah.
Oh, and actually, this original robot that's been in the background of CodeJoy since the beginning was originally designed in that first Robot Petting Zoo.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
A little full circle.
Full circle.
Thanks, Matt.
All right. Bye, everyone.
And Amanda Gray, Bowtie Tuesday, baby.
Yeah. I'm
So
all about
Robot Petting Zoo is just one example of something else that you could do with animatronics in your classroom. But Amanda Gray, you've got a couple other examples as well. So let's spotlight you. We'll bring you up. Tell us about a couple other examples of animatronics in the classroom.
Sure. Yes. So I've got a couple, and you can see them on the learning document as well as we go through it. So I'm going to swap on over here and plug this guy in. So this is an example of one of my first animated characters. We usually do Spidey Spoon. So very simple. It is one position servo that is moving back and forth. And we have a character that is made out of a spoon and tape and a pipe cleaner, also known as, what is it, Kelsey? Cartoon cutlery?
Neil Straw. Yes.
Cartoon cutlery.
Oh, a cutlery character.
Cutlery character, that's it, that's it.
Yeah.
Yes. So my first animated character can be pretty much anything. It can be a historical figure, it can be a character from a book, a composer, I mean, anything. Very simple, but introduce this to the students. And I'm gonna unplug that one, and this one I'm going to swap out just because it's a little bit larger, but this one is a living book report. So it is a very similar situation. We've got a position servo moving the hatchet, And now we've gone from a book report where you write an essay to building a robot to tell the story or to talk about what students have learned. So that is a really exciting way to bring robotics into English and a new engaging way for students to show mastery, talk about their learning, and all of that. And I think we also have one more quick video example of a moving scene as well.
I think we do. Let me bring myself back up here. All right, so we'll play that video. Tell us what we're looking at here, Amanda Gray.
Yeah, so this is another example of a moving scene, a little higher ceiling, a little more complex. This is in honor of May 4th, which is coming up. So this is a scene from Star Wars, and we've got LEDs that are inside straws, and now they are lightsabers. And it also has some servos moving. And I don't know if we can hear the sound right now, but they are also playing one of the songs from Star Wars as well from the microbit. So we have that linked on there too, so you can go watch that video. But all of these are examples of projects that can be done, and the lessons for all of them are linked on the Learning Doc if you want to do these with your students as well.
I have to give a shout out to Cecilia Hillway. When I first met you, Cecilia, she's here tonight. When I first met Cecilia, she put an LED in a straw and made a lightsaber, and I was like,
right? It's so cool.
that's amazing. It's so effective. It's so effective. I love it. It's so cool.
It's so cool. And that project was made by Andrew on our team. So shout out Andrew. Very cool project. And we've got an entire resource on our website on how to make that project as well.
Yeah, I want to highlight something that Charlotte said in the chat too. She says, oh, I love it. It's the shadow box that I grew up making, getting a literal glow up.
I love that. Amazing.
Love to see it. I love to see it. Well, so speaking of animatronics, both BirdBrain and CodeJoy, we are doing some free summer professional development. You can check this out on the learning document here, but one of the PDs that we're doing this summer is all about the robot petting zoo. So we're going to take you through what project-based learning is like through the lens of that project. We're into lights, motors, sensors, mechanisms, variables, things like that, and apply those to a robot petting zoo project, and then also give our participants a chance to actually design that. So if you sign up for our free summer Pathfinders PD, you get a free Hummingbird Robotics Kit shipped to your house. And this is true for both ours and BirdBrain's, in which you get a Finch robot. If you're like super crafty, get a couple friends from your school to sign up as well, and then you guys have the beginnings or maybe even the full thing of a classroom set for free. All you need is a dozen best friends, and I believe in you guys. You've got that.
I bet you have them. Yeah.
So our Summer Pathfinders Hummingbird project is the Robot Petting Zoo project. How about you, Amanda? What is BirdBrain doing for Summer Pathfinders?
Great question. We are doing practical AI in the classroom with robotics. It is going to be a class on making AI a little more accessible and using it with the Finch robot. So we're going to be doing a lot of different AI activities, and one of them is going to include controlling your Finch with a magic wand. So I can actually do a very quick demo of this. This is going to be also the first time we're showing this, so let's hope it works out really well. But as you can see,
so much.
It is the wand is turned on, so we're going to be talking with a radio, so using the radio function of the microbit to have this microbit talk to this microbit. And so I'll throw this down here so you can see the Finch and the magic wand. I also haven't done this facing this direction, so this might be interesting. If you wave the wand up and down, it's going to move the Finch. If you move it side to side, we're going to spin and maybe roll off the table. We'll see. And then I've got one more that is supposed to change the lights. There it is. So quick demo of that. Going to be the project where one of the tasks that we're doing in the class is controlling the Finch with a magic wand. And that was a very quick demo of that.
I love that. Was that using the Create AI function,
Yes.
the Create AI tool?
Yes, the new Create AI from Microbit, and then that's going to be one of them. And then we're also going to be using Google Teachable Machine in a different project. So you're going to be walking out of our course with 2 different ways that you can use AI with your students.
I love that. I'm so excited to see what all the teachers coming out of your course create. I think, especially when it comes to AI, there's a lot of like, what is it?
Why? Yeah, it's so scary.
And furthermore, like what is safe to do with AI with students in class and using student-facing tools like Create AI and Google Teachable Machine, like
Sure.
using those things in class, you're never
Yeah.
gonna like you might get an LLM to say something weird to a kid, but Google Teachable Machine is not gonna do that because that's not what it does.
Right. Making it super approachable. Yep, just like that. Making it super approachable. And I always like to say it's introducing a different kind of AI. You talk to a student, say, "What do you know about AI?" They say ChatGPT. So this is a great way to introduce that AI is much more than generative. We have machine learning. We have lots of different options. Really excited about it. I'm excited to see what your class makes, the robots. I hope you guys post a ton of videos and pictures, and I am going to post pictures of all of our magic wands.
Yes, and I agree. Cecilia says BirdBrain has the best toys. Totally agree.
So fun.
And also, someone asked in the chat, and it was answered, but I wanted to highlight it. Dawn asked, does the Finch robot have encoders in the wheels to make it more accurate? It's one of the few robots with a really good pen slot. Yeah, so you can put a marker in the top of that Finch there. And yes, it's got encoders in the wheels, so it's super, I mean, it's really accurate. It's a classroom robotics tool, so it's not like don't do surgery with it or anything, but like
Right.
pretty accurate for a kid's tool, you know?
Absolutely. And if you want it to be even more accurate, make it move a little bit slower.
There you go. Yes.
Slow and steady wins the race.
Don says you should teach it to write. Yeah, you know how hard cursive is to do as a human? Do it as a robot, you'll have a whole new appreciation.
Oh my god, that will be the entire 2-week course. Is we're just gonna take 2 weeks to learn how to do this.
Yeah, good luck with all those letters and loops, Amanda. All right, so we've got a couple other things coming up. What's another thing that's coming up from BirdBrain that teachers should keep an eye out for?
Yeah, we've got one webinar coming up in a couple of weeks. It is Robotics 101, meant to be a quick lunchtime webinar, hanging out, talking about how to integrate robotics into your classroom. This is a session that has been accepted on a ton of different conferences this year, so we thought, why not make it a webinar as well? Short and sweet. We are going to send out the recording too, so if you can't make it during that lunchtime, still sign up and we'll send you the video once it's done.
Excellent. I'm excited about that one. And you've got these new project packs, which I'm super excited to see what people do with those.
Yeah, I'm super excited. Those are on pre-order right now and they start shipping in June.
So coming up with CodeJoy, we've got a couple different things. You can find them on the learning document here. Here's what's new with BirdBrain. That's at the bottom of page 5. And then on page 6, what's going on with CodeJoy? Well, we have our monthly teacher webinar coming up next month. It's a week early next month, so mark your calendars for May 13th, which is the day after my birthday. I will be older and wiser, so check back in. I'll know things then. So join us. We're going to be talking with Chibitronics, which is a new product partner of ours, talking through exploring their new circuit sketcher tool, which is really cool. We've also got some exciting shows that you probably haven't seen coming up in April and May. One is Robot DJ, which we haven't done since, I think we did it last year. We might not have even done it last year because we had an issue with our sound last year and we fixed it in the new studio. So now we can do Robot DJ. So if you've been to a CodeJoy show, I bet it's not that one. So come to that one. And then we have a really great opportunity. We were able to partner with NASA, specifically NASA Tech Rise, which is a student challenge for kids all over the country. And we produced a new episode of CodeJoy. We co-produced it with this NASA Tech Rise Student Challenge. And so the public has never been able to see this show before, but NASA Tech Rise sponsored some free public shows. So tune into those at the end of April, beginning of May. It's a really, really cool show, and I'd love for you guys to come check it out. You can register right there. Check out our Pathfinders right there. And I highly recommend that you join both the BirdBrain newsletter and the CodeJoy newsletter, because there's always some fun, cool stuff coming up, and that's the best way to learn about it. All right, so we've shared a lot of information tonight. But now we're going to bring it all home. I'm going to put that Mentimeter link back in the chat. So go back to Mentimeter now, everybody. And we're going to ask you a couple of culminating questions here back on Mentimeter. Maybe you've still got it open from before. Maybe you closed it and you got to reopen it. What could you do next with animatronics? This is where we crowdsource all of everybody's best ideas. So what could you do next with animatronics? Maybe it's something that somebody else shared in the chat, or maybe it's a project that you have on your heart somewhere. And we'll see if we can share that Mentimeter link back in the chat with everybody. If you guys could help me out with that. Thank you. There it is. Wonderful. What could you do next with animatronics? Hey, create a character and write a story about it. I love that. Hey, maybe you want to write the next CodeJoy show and write something fun for Elby to do. We'd love that. We actually had a student group come through the studio on Friday, and the students have been sending us fan emails since Friday, which has been really nice, including a really great animation of Elby, which is really cool. All right, what else we got? I love the petting zoo with the science connection and the animal adaptations. I need to learn how to do the dual servo LB project with my old Hummingbird. I'd like my students to make historical figures with them. You know, the old Hummingbird has position servo motors, so it's really, there's no difference in the build between the old Hummingbird and the new Hummingbird. It would just be a difference in how you might code it. So whether you're using Snap or Bird Blocks or MakeCode, or any of the other integrations, the difference would be in the code, but the build is exactly the same. You want to animate a Lego scene? I love that. Ooh, a biography presentation where you make that person or character talk. That's great. I want to try the live book report. Historical figure statues that come to life when the lights go out, night at the museum style. Okay, whoever this was, I need you to do it.
Right, and send pictures.
You to do it for real.
And send pictures.
Yes, and tweet or post the heck out of it. You know what I mean? We've been talking about this project for years, and I haven't seen anybody do it yet. Here's our spin on it. That the historical figures they're or whatever it is in your museum, they don't work, but they have a light sensor on the front of them. So they only work when you shine a flashlight at them. Or maybe the opposite of that. They only work when you don't shine a flashlight on them. I don't know, but you need to do it and you need to tell us about it because I'm too excited. Okay, great. Haunted house with jump scares. I love that. I love the petting zoo idea or having students create a talking biography character. I'd love if there were horn replacement packets as students build and lose some of them or have excessive glue. Yeah, I believe, do you know, Amanda, can they order just servo horns?
We do on our support page, we do have a link to where they can order extras. They can't get it from us, but we do have a link for them to go find them.
Yeah. We order enough motors that we're never low on servo horns, but I can imagine that you might be. So check out the BirdBrain support page. I'll help you out. Currently, I offer 2 projects per unit, a game or a robot project. I can see adding a 3rd project in animatronics. I could see the girls getting involved with the animatronics because they love robots too. That's right. Girls do love robots too. You just have to have a robot project that's not, you know, destructive. That's not, there's a lot of research that says that like cars aren't as interesting to girls as they are to boys, right? So what kinds of projects might engage girls? I think animatronics is a great one. It definitely engaged my girls when I taught a girls STEM program. We're developing a mechatronics animatronics pathway within our engineering pathway. I love the idea of the petting zoo and maybe some stories. That's wonderful. Well, thank you all so much for sharing your ideas tonight in the chat, in Mentimeter with each other. And I just also want to say a huge thank you to Amanda Gray. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Amanda Gray. You are awesome. We really, really appreciate collaborating with you and brainstorming with you all together. Thanks for being here with us tonight.
Thanks for having me. This was a blast.
Thanks, everybody. If anybody has any questions or anything, feel free to stick around and pop those in the chat. Otherwise, have a great night, everyone. Happy holiday weekend. Happy spring break.
Happy Bowtie Tuesday.
Happy Bowtie Tuesday. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks. Yep, a recording will be available of this in about a week. So We just have to edit it to make ourselves look and sound as smart as we are.
Cecilia, you're the cool kid.
B.
Yeah. Cecilia says, I love the chats. I feel like I'm hanging with the cool kids. You are the cool kids. So
We are
yeah,
all the cool kids. This is the cool place to be.
it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun here. The nice cool kids, you know.
Yes. Welcoming.
Yeah. Thanks, JP. Glad you were here. Thanks, Nadia. Bye, Gerald.
Bye, friends.
Bye, Dawn. See you, Milagros. All right. Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and stop our recording here. Are you sure you want to